Welcome to Bible Mysteries. What if there are secrets in the Bible the world doesn't want you to know? You're listening to episode 133, Countermove, interview with L.A. Marzulli. Now here are your hosts, Scott and John.
Scott and John here with Bible Mysteries. We want to thank you for being a listener, but we'd love to invite you to become a subscriber.
Absolutely. This will only help us to expand the amount of people that we're able to reach and show the secrets in the Bible that the world doesn't want you to know about.
That's right, John. And if you subscribe to Bible Mysteries Premium Podcast, you get some great benefits. Access to every current episode, the full thing, even with our interviews and any special events we do. Plus, we have downloadable show notes. We have our community forum and Slack that you can join. And we have our Bible Mysteries monthly newsletter.
So for just $7 a month, you can help support us get the word out and defeat the satanic global elite.
To subscribe, just go to BibleMysteries.supercast.com. Thanks again for listening and enjoy the episode. Hello, welcome once again to Bible Mysteries. I'm Scott Mitchell.
And I'm John Potts, and this is the show that talks about things in the Bible that the world doesn't want you to know about.
Amen. And we are privileged today to have again on our show. Welcome back, L.A. Marzulli.
Hey, Scott and John, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Always good to be here.
We are
absolutely. It's our privilege, and it's our honor to reintroduce some of you to L.A. You've heard him on here before, but L.A. is an award-winning author, lecturer, and filmmaker who's penned 13 books, including the Nephilim Trilogy, which made the CBA bestsellers list, and his latest book, Countermove. And I'm going to hold up a copy of that, and we'll also have links to lamarzulli.net for those of you that are interested in learning more about him. But Countermove, and the subtitle is How the Nephilim Returned After the Flood, which we are going to discuss a little bit today. His book series, On the Trail of the Nephilim, Volumes 1 and 2, are full-color, oversized volumes which reveal startling evidence of a massive cover-up of what he believes to be the remains of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned in the Bible. LA's most recent film series is called UFO Disclosure, Parts 1 through 4. And they include some chilling testimonies of he's got it perfect. Yeah, hold that up. Yeah. Actual abductees, as well as startling information about crop circles that's coming out soon. Is that one out now?
That's out now, yeah.
Oh, fantastic, LA. And then LA is just a frank super-naturalist who lectures on the subjects of UFOs, the Nephilim, and ancient prophetic texts, presenting his exhaustive research at conferences and churches and through media appearances and interviews on numerous national and international radio and television programs. So welcome back, LA.
Thanks, Scott, for the kind words in the intro. Appreciate that.
You bet. Well, we're such an admirer of your work. And I'm going to start right. We're going to dive right in because the last time you were on the show, you made this great analogy. I think you use it frequently about the disclosure, revealing of UFOs, and liken it to rungs on a ladder.
Right.
So my listeners are asking, where are we on the ladder now? So I'm going to let straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, we are basically on rung number 13, which in fact you could even say 14 because in the last 48 hours the government said, well, it might be a mothership out there. We've heard about all this. It's a Mau or a Muamua. However, I think it's a Muamua.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, a Muamua is out there, but we knew about that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And they make a big deal. Oh, it's a mothership. It's a Mau. What are we going to do? And it's like, what amazes me is I did a UFO update on Wednesday as our UFO update. And I said, guys, I have 3 witnesses. 2 of them I talked to. The third witness was a guy, I think his name is Brewer, is a pilot. He flew across the English Channel from France. He was making a routine flight from France to, I think, Dover or wherever. It doesn't matter. But he was going across the English Channel. Not 1, but 2 mile-wide craft appear to his left side. He's like, and everybody sees it on the plane. It's a small little puddle jumper.
Mile-wide craft?
Mile-wide craft. 2 of them.
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. And then the thing just evaporates. That's what
just disappeared.
Disappear. And then the second one was an Alaskan Airlines pilot who I interviewed years ago. It was making a flight, and there in front of him is a mile-wide craft, and he doesn't know what he's going to do. He's just like, it's on radar. Everybody's freaking out. what are we, what is this? And he was terrified. Mile wide craft. The third one, which is in the book, which we're about to republish. I was at the Prophecy Watchers conference 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
It was a great conference, like 1,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
And it was just amazing. And somebody came up and had the Alien Interviews book and wanted me to autograph it. Well, that book's been out of print for years. And I went, oh my gosh. And I looked at that and I said, Peggy, this is crazy. We need to republish this. So that afternoon, I got on the phone with Mark Kahn. The book that followed it was called Further Evidence. That's been out of print also. So Mark Kahn had the galleys for Further Evidence, but not Alien Interviews. So we went online, we got the book, Alien Interviews, and we sent it over to Sonda. Sonda's typing all that longhand, and which is great. So those will be redone. And then I'm adding to that a series of articles that I wrote in the last 10 years on our Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural magazine, which shows how we're accelerating towards full disclosure. Yeah. So in that book, I interviewed Ricky Sorrell. And Ricky was just a guy out in Texas. He's out deer hunting on New Year's Day, minding his own business. He gets tangled up in some briars. I know what that's like because I lived in Oklahoma for 3 years, and they're nasty. Even in the middle of winter, they're nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like this with his gun, and he kind of goes right overhead, treetop level, 20 feet above the trees. He can't see the edge of it.
Wow.
He ostensibly the same mile wide.
It's a mile wide craft. He can't see the edge of this thing. So the thing is like right over his head like this, and it tilts and then starts going up. I'll do it this way. Starts leaving the scene and then shoots away. About 2 minutes later, these two jet aircraft, F-18s, who knows, F-15s, go streaking by, following this thing. So I know of three. And when you see I've seen craft, small craft. You see something that's a mile wide. That's a game changer. And this ties right back into the prophecy of Jesus, men fainting from fear for what is coming upon the earth. That's his words in the Greek, coming upon the earth. Even the elect would be deceived if that were possible.
Right.
So if this wasn't it, if this wasn't what was manifesting, I'd be going, well, what is manifesting? Well, this is what's manifesting. And it's now global, and it's the cat's out of the bag. The Pentagon's talking about, Omaha is like, this could be a threat. And that's how they're couching it. They're couching it as a threat. And so some people...
You have to wonder, excuse me to interrupt you, but you have to wonder, why would they suddenly now be getting on board with the very idea when they've denied for decades there was any existence, and now they're saying there's a mothership, or at least some official is quoting that. What do you think is up here, LA?
Well, they're rolling it out. There will be full disclosure. These entities are in control. That's the bottom line.
It's their timeline.
It's their time. They're saying, you can't do this anymore. Now that's conjecture on my part, and I kind of make fun of this, but when was the last time any of us got to sit down with a fallen angel and go, hey, what's the end game? Can we see the schedule of events?
Right.
It happened.
It's
so
not.
But the old guard, and I wrote a paper on this for my it'll be published in the upcoming. We're taking Alien Interviews, Further Evidence, and then this new stuff, combining it all under one book with a new cover, because it's just as relevant today as it was when it came out in 2013, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it's absolutely, and more relevant now than ever, because people will go, wow, something's up. Yeah. So the old guard died away. The old guard is the guard that was at Roswell, the guys who went, okay. General Ramey, who goes, no, it was just a weather balloon. That's all it was. Nothing to see here, folks. He doesn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Ramey says excitement not justified. These guys are such unbelievable. And so here's the original one. There it is.
Oh, that's right. Which was replaced by the weather balloon.
No details on flying disc are revealed. Bum, bum, bum.
LA, what?
Go ahead.
So you said at rung number 14.
14.
How many rungs are there? And then, by the way, this Roswell thing, what is that? Is that rung number 7 or 8? And we've now progressed up to 14? And
No. Roswell was ground zero. Roswell set back to the question, Roswell set the precedent that we were under until 2017. Isn't it interesting? So 17, so do the math from 47, right?
Yeah.
Really interesting. So it's decades ago. They had a choice. They could have come clean and said, we've got wreckage from a crashed UFO, but that's what they came out with. But then they backpedaled. Oh, it's just a weather balloon. I talked to Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr.
Yeah.
Marcel Jr. was in the room when his father, Marcel Sr., came in with the wreckage from the crash. And he put it on the kitchen table, 2 or 3 in the morning, woke up his beautiful wife. His wife is stunning, was stunning. I'm sure she's passed. And woke her up and then got Jesse out of bed and said, handle the wreckage. You probably will never see. This is from a craft, not from this world. You'll never see it again. And this is before he took that box of wreckage and went back to the 509th Army base. It's before he did that. So Jesse Marcel Jr. saw it. He handled it. He looked at it. Okay.
Yeah.
He saw it. So
this was the metal that it could retain its shape even if you crumpled it, and it was lighter than anything, right? And we're talking about the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Marcel saw weather balloons every single day.
Yeah.
He was the 509th base intelligence officer. To think for a second that he would confuse the wreckage at Mac Brazel's ranch for a weather balloon is patently absurd. I mean, it's just like going, well, JFK was shot from the back, and that's why his head goes back and to the left. But, the picket fence is here in front of JFK, and that's why his head goes back and to the left. If Oswald hit him from the back, he would have gone forward. It's very simple. A 6th grader can figure that out.
Well, you can even see on
that's what the American people bought.
Right. You can see on Marcel's face in the photograph of him holding up the balloon.
He's going like,
he's humiliated. I mean, he knows it's a lie.
He's the patsy.
Yeah.
And what happened was his son told me this. They marched him in, and he didn't know what, he was being quarantined or whatever. And he met with Ramey in another room, and then they marched him in without telling him, oh, by the way, the press is here. This is a press conference.
Right.
And he realizes at that point, he looks down and he sees the weather balloon. And then Ramey starts this whole ridiculous thing. So he's a patsy. He's set up. Yeah. He was totally disgraced. Meanwhile, Ramey's holding this in his hand. He's holding a telegram. And about, 15 years ago, because they got the technology, someone took that, blew it up, and it says, disc going to bodies retrieved. I mean, all that's in there. I mean, it's a typical doublespeak. So to your point, Scott, your question, they put the kibosh on it. And the government, the shadow government came in, took control of everything. The stuff was flown to Wright Pat, in my opinion, and I've had too many witnesses telling me that that's where it went. And it makes sense. The stuff, everything was sent to Wright Patterson in Ohio. And Marcel, until Stan Friedman got a hold of him, was a laughing stock. And then Stan was the one who put Roswell back on the map. But here's the deal, to your point, to your question. This is what the old guard did. They absolutely put a lid on it. Anyone was discredited. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're a tinfoil hat guy. Yeah. Maybe you're not mentally stable. Are you on drugs? Were you drinking that night? I mean, all that stuff. And that's how the thing is handled.
Right.
If anybody who talked about it. And then if you got too close, they did away with you. You were killed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I think it's really interesting right now. Like you said, here we have the Pentagon coming out with, there's a mothership, which I don't know why this is not the biggest headline in the news cycle and should be on the news every day. I mean, that to me, that's unbelievable. And they kind of just brush, oh, there's a mothership out there. But then, but what really blows my mind is
nothing to worry about, folks.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Just keep moving. There's a mothership, but the price of gas is going up.
The weather balloon thing is still going on because they shot down. They say it was a balloon over lake. Which lake was it? One of the Great Lakes.
Yeah, you can't make.
By the way, they missed it with a $500,000 missile. So I'm pretty sure that thing wasn't a weather balloon if it can dodge one of our missiles, right?
Well, it was a weather balloon caught up in a flock of geese that was reflecting the planet Venus, caught up in a thermal pocket of air.
And
That's
swamp
what it
gas.
was. And swamp gas. I forgot that. And swamp gas. That's what it was. Nothing. I mean, it's just like it's so. I mean, it's just. I was at a lecture at Pepperdine University about 20 years ago, and they had a guy, a total shill, and all these kids are there, and he's lecturing about Roswell was a weather balloon. And then I got him. Then he started talking about the bodies that were retrieved were nothing more than crash test dummies that the Air Force used to see what they were like if we pushed them out from from 20,000 feet. I raised my hand. I went, "Excuse me, sir, that's patently wrong." And Stan Freeman proved that. They didn't have crash test dummies till 1952. So Roswell happened in 47. I can do the math and figure that out. So unless the government has a time machine, this is a cover story. And this guy just started tap dancing, and after his ridiculous answer, my wife and I, we just got up and left.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just a shill.
Well, it begs the question: why would you need crash test dummies in a weather balloon in the first place? I mean, if it's a weather balloon, why are they dropping crash test dummies to see if they'll, survive 20,000 feet?
Roswell, case closed. Bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum.
Oh yeah.
It's really sad. So the bottom line is the old guard, they're all gone. They're all dead.
Yeah.
The new guard goes, we can't keep the kibosh on this forever.
Yeah.
UFO sightings are through the roof. And this is conjecture on my part because I don't know. But maybe they said, it's time. It's time. You need to tell the people that we really exist. Or the new guard said, we can't keep the kibosh on this any longer. And so in 2017, the first rung on the ladder of disclosure, the ladder is one of disclosure, not incidents. It's disclosure.
Okay.
And Tucker Carlson, 2017, Commander David Fravor is on Tucker Carlson. What people don't think about, and not because I'm so smart, but the Holy Spirit led me in this. It's like, who picks up the phone and calls Tucker's producers and go, "Hey, Tucker, we want this guy. His name is Commander David Fravor. He's a former F-18 pilot. He had an encounter with a tic-tac shaped object out over the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to give you the film of the tic-tac shaped object, as well as we want Commander David Fravor on your show." Well, does Fravor have a book? No. Does he have a DVD coming out about his experience? No. Well, you can't have him on. Excuse me, you will have him on next Friday. Sure enough, that's conjecture, but that's how the game is played.
Yeah.
Who's got the power to call up Tucker's producers? So sure enough, Tucker gets on and he goes, UFOs used to be the thing of conspiracy theories and tinfoil hat wearing people, but maybe not anymore. Commander David Fravor, former F-18 pilot, joins us tonight, who had an encounter with a tic-tac shaped object over the Pacific Ocean. Commander David Fravor joins us now. And then, so you got Tucker here, you got Fravor in the middle, and then over here, you've got the once was classified film of the tic-tac shaped UFO bopping and weaving all around over the ocean.
Yeah, wasn't that revealed to the New York Times journalist? And
it was revealed
Elizondo
times in Elizondo,
yeah.
And nobody did anything. So they figured, well, let's roll it up on Tucker. Now, this morning when I was with my friend Dan, the lawyer, I said, Dan, why do you think they released it on Tucker? And he goes, he got it, smart guy. He goes, well, Tucker's audience is primarily conservative Christian. I went, bingo. That's exactly why they did it there.
Yeah.
They want to see what the reaction is. Guess what the reaction was? Flatline. Nobody did anything.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I'm going, oh my God, the phone, run for the hills. The emails are going to blow up. The phone's going to ring. Flatline. I think I got one email from somebody.
How about that?
That's the first.
It's their means testing.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
you think there's widespread panic if they'd gone out on ABC, NBC?
Well, that's what they looked at War of the Worlds, and that was the model for the 47, lid on everything.
Yeah.
Well, remember what happened when Orson Welles did this years ago? People were jumping out of windows. We can't have that. So that's how everything was couched, and then it was discredit. So even if you came forward, well, you're a conspiracy theorist, just like with JFK. If you didn't believe the official narrative, then you're a conspiracy theorist. In fact, that's when that phrase was coined. because of the JFK assassination. You're one of those conspiracy theorists. We've got a 1,000-page booklet right here which tells us that Oswald was a lone gunman. Excuse me, I've been to the kill site. There's no way he did the shot. No way. Not in a million years. Sorry. With a man like Cocarno with his sights were bad. I mean, it's just like the whole thing.
I completely agree. I've been to the grassy knoll. Yeah. So, Ellie, you mentioned the old guard, and would you? I'm going to let you put it in your words because I know you've done more research into this than I have. But many believe that there was a covenant made between the Greys.
There was.
And Eisenhower in '54. You believe that's true? I think I've come to full circle on that one. I believe it's true as well. You think that's also going to be part of the disclosure coming up?
At some point, they're gonna do something. I mean, it was just all conjecture, speculation. They could have some guy, former, Chris Mellon, Luis Elizondo. It could be anybody, right? Some general, ex-general, but he's going to have the film from Roswell. And they're going to show the crashed UFO and the alien bodies.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure they would have filmed the encounter too if there was actually a meeting, because they do have footage of the 200 UFOs over Washington that year in the night sky, right? So,
I mean, I'm laughing because this is my wheelhouse for decades. Right. Now it's people. Oh yeah, I had no idea. We got this email from a woman, and I know who she is, and she's a pastor's sister. And she, smart woman, been to college, medical profession, the whole deal, real smart gal. I don't believe in UFOs. That's just, they don't exist. So she goes out on her back porch and she lives in the woods in kind of the middle of nowhere. And there's rolling field in the hills of Pennsylvania and Maryland. And she's looking and there are 4 lights in the sky and they're hovering like this and one blinks off and then, the other one fades away and then there's 2 and the 2 lights, and then all of a sudden the third one's back, and she's going, oh my gosh, I don't believe in UFOs. Now she does because she's had an encounter, and this thing is being leached out to the point where it was on 60 Minutes. They had Commander David Fravor and his wingman, who was actually a female pilot, who finally came on the record and said, yeah, I saw it too. Commander David Fravor, the first rung on the ladder of disclosure, when Tucker asked him, in your opinion, what was this? Fravor looks right at the camera. Whatever this was not from this earth. So that became the nexus, the impetus for this. This is the book, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year-old cover-up exposed. And one of the Tucker Carlson's UFO Disclosure. That's chapter number 1.
And that's wrong number 1 in
chapters.
I
wrote the chapters on a napkin. Okay. And I had the napkin in my studio before the house was burned. That thing would be worth millions of dollars at some point, LA. But I mean, I wrote it on a napkin. We were at a restaurant and I said, honey, and I wrote the book. It's not like an in-depth study, but I mean, it's a quick read. It's for the layman. It's not all this technical. It's for the layman. It's to show that something's going on here. Yeah. I wrote it in probably a month. I mean, it just went boom. It just came out. Whereas, Countermove, how the Nephilim returned after the flood, that was 2 years in the making. 2 years. The warfare against that was ridiculous. And now the warfare, because we're off to parts unknown doing film number 6 on the UFO series. Once again, the warfare is stepping up, and the attack is always on our family. It's like clockwork.
So you recently showed some YouTube video footage of what appears to be an actual, I would say a Nordic. It's a fallen entity of some kind, fallen angel of some kind on a trail cam. And it also looks to me like there was like an orb or some kind of portal opening, and then seconds later this entity appears. Yeah. And even you stated that he looked right at the camera. He knew he was being shot. Why do you think? What is your take on this entity allowing itself to be seen? Is this part of the disclosure, do you suppose?
Yeah, it is. It's part of the fact that, in my opinion, the veil is thinning, and what we're seeing is this influx of the dark side. I mean, Dogman, Sasquatch. Orbs are all over the place, sleep paralysis, entities in the room. I mean, all this stuff is accelerating. It's not going away. It's accelerating. And what bothers me is the church, for the most part, is completely asleep to all this.
Amen.
We'll even talk about it. I mean, I've had people go, Ellie, I went to my pastor and I tried to give him one of your films. He just laughed at me. I said, maybe it's time to go to another church. This is the coming great deception. Again, going back to the walk today with my lawyer friend Dan, I said, Dan, this is it. 2 Thessalonians, or chapter 2. This is it. This is the coming great deception. This will cause the apostasia that we see. This is it. It's coming down like a freight train, and people don't get it. They're ignorant. The church is ignorant. And isn't it funny? Jesus says men will faint from fear for what is coming upon the earth. Even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. Right. We're in the window of time where all this is being set up. We are being set up because they did not believe the truth. God sends them strong delusion.
Amen. I noted that in Jesus Christ's earthly ministry to Israel, he was healing, casting out devils, and there seems to have been an explosion of demonic activity at the time. Just as there was an entire explosion, if you will, of Nephilim giants in the land of Canaan when Israel went in to conquer the conquest of Canaan, so was there an explosion of unclean spirits when Jesus Christ was preaching the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And I suspect that since his second coming is right around the corner, this is the next explosion. This is what we're seeing, the demonic activity manifesting itself in a way other than what we traditionally think of as a demonic possession. To me, they're in the politicians, they're in the governmental entities of some kind. Do you think that's what we're seeing right now, this proliferation of Nephilim?
We're seeing hybrids. We're seeing it's all across the board, and it's manifesting like that Nord or whatever it was. One woman called it a jinn. And I don't know. I mean, you can't sit down with it. What are you? I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? I'm here interviewing Beelzebub. Thanks for coming on the record. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So we can only, look at it as a watchman.
Right.
What I think I am. I'm like flailing my arms and going, guys, something's going on here. We need to look at this. But it's manifesting and it's ramping up in ways that I've never seen it. Now, we were at, like I said, not last weekend, but the weekend before that, we were at the Prophecy Watchers Conference in Orlando. And I was concerned. I was asking about security because there were threats that were made. And, so what else is new? And there was no security. There was security that kept people from going into the main room.
Yeah.
Where all the speakers were. There was no security at all. So someone could just wander in from the mall, which the hotel bumped up against the mall. It was part of the mall. So if you were in the hotel, you could go to Starbucks here, Chick-fil-A over there, take your Chick-fil-A and your Starbucks and go walking out right, and you're in the mall, all covered over, right? Enclosed mall.
Okay.
So I'm at my table. My wife is next to me. There's a couple in front of me I'm signing an autograph. The herd is in the main room, and there's a gentleman standing at the end of our table who's just talking to me and watching me sign autographs and stuff. So this couple, as I'm signing, I'm bending over and something catches my eye about 10 feet away to my left. And I look over and it's a woman. She's in a long dress, very long hair down to her waist. She's got all this weird stuff around her neck, and I recognize immediately there's a spirit catcher. Okay, we got a problem. But I catch her eye, and she is looking at me with full-blown, unmitigated hate. I mean, it is oozing out of her. And I hit Peggy, and I go, here we go. And sure enough, the couple leaves, and this woman comes up, and she is fully blown possessed. And she's got this bag she's wearing. As she's coming at me, I immediately challenge her. Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free? Jesus can set you free. That's what I'm challenging her. And she's just frothing. I mean, not literally, but she's just, LA. And she's like, just the hate is just unbelievable. And she takes this big blue bag and she takes it and she's carrying it and she sets it on the table. And at this point, Peggy is moving in front of me to shield me from a gunshot.
Wow.
Well, she didn't pull out a gun. She pulled out a booklet like this, but that's what I'm saying. So she's not part of the conference. She just wandered in from who knows where.
Yeah.
She didn't have a lanyard on. She's not part of the conference. She's been sent there to go after me. And so at this point, I look over at the security guard who's about 40 feet away, 30 feet away, and I go like this. I motion. So now he's about 10, 15 feet from us and just watching the proceedings. So she's taken out this book and she's showing me pictures of faces and phantoms and things manifesting and, spirit things and all this stuff. And I'm looking at it. She goes, "We've got to warn them. She's just completely gone." And I look at her and I go, "Here," and the Holy Spirit told me to do this. "You need to take all this and burn it." She goes, "No, but you need to look at it." I go, "No, you need to, this stuff is going to kill you. You are obsessed with it. It has taken over your life. You need to burn all of this. Burn it, burn it, burn it." And as I'm ministering to her, her face changes. And Peggy saw it. I've got witnesses. And the woman is there in her right mind for 20 seconds, 25, 30 seconds. And all of a sudden the demons roar up in her and she goes ballistic. And that's when I just went like this to the security guard.
Wow.
He came over. "Do you have a lanyard?" "No." "You're not part of this conference?" "No." And he escorts her out. What's alarming, Scott and John, is this, that anybody could have walked in, God forbid, with anything and blow, because that's where all the speakers are there.
Yeah.
And they're all gone before you can say,
It's almost amazing it's not happening more frequently.
This time I now have a private bodyguard that travels with me.
Oh yeah.
I'm speaking at a conference. If it's at a church, the church can supply their own security. But if it's at a conference like this,
yeah. LA, that introduces a thought. This just occurred to me. I didn't write this down, but so you are well aware, and you've talked of it many times, about the encounter that Daniel had with the angel who said, "I would have been here sooner." I'm paraphrasing, but I was withstood 21 days by the prince of Persia, and then Michael had to help him, and so we know there's angelic incursions, if you will, fighting. We're not talking about an incursion of fallen angels rather, into the world like Genesis 6, but we're talking about, and we're not talking about the major battle of Revelation 12, which I think is still yet to be future.
Yeah, I agree.
But I saw in a film, and I apologize if it's one of yours and I just misremembering which film I was looking at, but in it was a little bit of footage of what looked to be like a satellite view of the earth. It was black and white. It was hard to see, but you could see stars. You could see the outline of the globe, and you could see what looked like a UFO leaving in a trajectory out from the planet, and another one suddenly appears and fires on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
It looks like almost like a missile was shot, but it was like a light, almost like a laser beam.
It came from Australia. There is an army base there, and the UFOs coming in like this, and all of a sudden you see this burst of light fly up like this, but before the light's about here, this weapon is about here, and the UFO just takes off like that.
That's it. Now, do you believe the weapon was a U.S. or rather a human weapon?
Yeah,
like a missile. Okay, and it just made me wonder. Gary Stearman, of course, is a close friend of yours, but I'm only aware of his DVD where he talks about the angel that when he was flying the aircraft to somewhere in West Texas, told him, if you look to your left, you'll see a UFO. And that clearly seemed to be a benevolent, God-brought angel. Do you think there are currently skirmishes that are going on? Because obviously the Hebrew author says, be careful to entertain strangers, because some have entertained angels unaware. So we know they do come from time to time. Do you think there's actually, in other words, it's vehicles of conveyance for fallen angels and God's angels? Why wouldn't they get involved in skirmishes?
Well, and I do. I mean, I absolutely do. And see, the problem is we've got this truncated view of the supernatural. Well, when Elisha is there and surrounded by the Syrian army, and his servant Gehazi comes and goes, "What are we going to do? We're surrounded by the Syrian army." And Elisha goes, "Just go out, Lord, open his eyes." Gehazi goes outside the tent, and he sees what? He sees the chariots of fire. What is the chariot of fire? You tell me. Next morning, 180,000 Syrians are dead. So that's how the game is played. Those are the good guys. What is a chariot of fire? Remember, he's looking at this phenomenon, and he has no words like UFO or flying saucer. He's never seen anything that flew, and yet these chariots, they were something, because he's relating it in the vernacular of his time. A chariot was the vehicle you rode around in.
Yeah.
A chariot of what? Fire. What is fire? Light in the sky.
Yes.
Fire in the sky.
Yeah.
What did Travis Walton says?
Travis,
Fire
yeah.
in the sky, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like nothing's changed in thousands of years.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers.
Right.
Nobody does. And I am as perplexed as the next guy. But I do know this, that the breeding program is real. Abductions are real. We cover this in our films. Crop circles are real. And we tie crop circles back in, we were going to call it convergence, because there's a convergence between the crop circle phenomena that you see and, let me see, where is it? And the mound builders, lost civilizations.
Okay.
Can you see those?
Yeah, we sure can. Actually, that's a good, clear shot.
There's an absolute, it's a convergence, because what we discovered, to our astonishment, was that many of the crop circles appear next to these ancient megalithic mounds, like Silbury Hill in England.
Right.
Like the Seat Mound in Ohio. Why is that, folks? Because it's all connected. It's all on the dark side. It's all from Hell's Kitchen. Here it is. Here it is.
Hey, thanks again for listening today. If you would like to hear the rest of our amazing interview with L.A. Marzulli, please subscribe to Bible Mysteries Premium Podcast. You can do so at BibleMysteriesPodcast.com.
Thank you for listening today. If you like what you heard, share it with a friend. If you want to learn more, you can go to Unlock the Bible Now. That's utbnow.com.